It's our third biannual Canada-Nigeria Business Investment Summit, and it's a real pleasure to organize it in partnership with Cola and Sam and the team at Leadership and Governance Canada. We've also are very grateful for Gareth Bloor and the support from the Canada-Africa Chamber of Business, as well as the Nigerian High Commission in Ottawa, and our various sponsors and partners for the program, who you hear from later on. Nigeria is Canada's largest trading partner in Africa by far, and what we want to do today, even though it is the largest, it is still just scratching the surface. So over the course of today and tomorrow, we're going to hear a lot of stories about how we're going to blow that open and really boost trade from Canada to Nigeria and vice versa, and investment between the two countries. So we've got a great program for you. A couple logistics before we move on to things, which are the wireless code. It's the Sheraton Conference. The password is events, capital E, 789. Washrooms are around the corner outside. One of the important, I think, takeaways that we're going to want from today is interactions and building relationships, because that's the start of doing trade and investment between our two countries. So I'd really encourage people to ask a lot of questions. During the networking breaks, please approach other delegates, introduce yourself. You never know what kind of valuable contact you're going to make, which will be the start of a business relationship, which will then be the start of increased trade flows between our two countries. And now, without further ado, I'd like to call on the project manager from Leadership and Governance Canada, Kola Esamojumi, to do a few words of welcome. Kola?
I have a very simple assignment this morning, and my assignment is just to welcome everyone to this very important summit. And we are grateful to have you here. And it's going to be a very exciting period here for everyone, those that have traveled from wherever. And we've made conscious effort to put in accredited people that will be making presentations. And I have the confidence that you will not leave here the same way. So it is a great pleasure. And of course, I would like to acknowledge the presence of everyone, not in particular order, the chairman of NIDCOM, Nigerian Diaspora Commission. Oh, okay. So please help me to welcome the chairman, Nigerian Diaspora Commission. You're welcome, ma'am. And His Excellency, the Charge d'Affaires, Nigeria High Commission in Ottawa, His Excellency Ambassador Obioma. Can you please help me welcome him? And we have seated as well our own very brother, Ambassador Abalaji Akeremi. Can you please welcome him, please? And as I call on the MC for today, I also want to recognize the presence of the president of Canada-Africa Chambers of Business, Mr. Gareth Bloor. You're welcome, sir. And I say welcome to everyone and have a blessed summit. Thank you. And I call on the MC, Mr. Adekunle Ajiboye of Ajimatis. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Your Excellencies. It's an honor and privilege to be here today. I'm actually on my way to Nigeria today, but I had to honor this call. I salute leadership and governance under the leadership of Mr. Sam Adewale and Kola Esamojumi. They are doing a great work to advance business interests between Canada and Nigeria. Kudos, sir. Thank you for all you do. Your Excellencies, the mother of Nigeria in diaspora, that's the name I gave you. The mother of Nigerians in diaspora. Thank you for your presence. We appreciate you. Thank you. Your Excellency, sir, you are following me. I was just with you last week in Ottawa. You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate you, sir. And Your Excellency, Ambassador, Akinremi Balaji, whom I just met this morning, but we knitted already like a brother. Thank you. I appreciate you, sir. And every other person, I may not have called your name, but we are all appreciative and we welcome you. Thank you. The first person I will be calling on, of course, is our Charge d'Affaires to give his opening remarks. Your Excellency, Ambassador Obioma Nzewuji, please, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the Executive Governor of Niger State, Omar Mohamed Bago, Your Excellency, distinguished Senator Victor Ume, Senate Committee Chairman on Diaspora, Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa, Chairman NIDCOM, Ambassador Bolaji Akinremi, Director, Trade and Investment, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President of the Africa Chamber of Commerce, President of the Africa-Canada Chamber of Business, Mr. Garrett Blow, the leadership of Leadership and Governance, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is with immense honor that I stand before you today in all humility at the Canada-Nigeria Business and Investment Summit organized by Leadership and Governance Incorporated. As we gather here in the beautiful and enchanting city of Toronto, Ontario, I wish to extend my deepest gratitude to the organizers for their vision and commitment to enhancing the bilateral relations between our two great countries. This very summit presents a unique opportunity to explore new avenues of economic engagement, and I trust that our discussions today will yield tangible outcomes for the participants, for our government, for businesses, and for our people. This summit comes at a pivotal moment in the evolving relationship between Nigeria and Canada. Over the years, we have built a relationship with Canada based on shared values of multiculturalism, federalism, human rights, and democracy. Today, we seek to strengthen that foundation through economic cooperation, policy alignment, and the pursuit of sustainable development goals that reflect the aspirations of our people. Your Excellencies, keynote speakers, panelists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to apprise this noble audience of the high-level engagements that have taken place in recent times between Nigeria and Canada. As recent as May 2024, the Nigeria's Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Meta Matuga, visited Canada on the invitation of his Canadian counterpart, the Honorable Melanie Joly, to further strengthen our diplomatic and trade relations. This was swiftly followed by the Business Council of Canada's Trade and Investment Mission to Nigeria in June 2024, a visit that has the huge propensity to unlock significant opportunities for both countries in the identified areas of cooperation. The objective of the trade mission centered on harnessing opportunities in Nigeria's tech ecosystem, agriculture, fintech, and this demonstrates Canada's interest in Nigeria's evolving market. In the same vein, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I must also mention the just concluded Nigeria-Canada Binational Commission meeting held on September 20, 2024, which has further deepened our bilateral relationship as both countries leveraged the platform to explore new avenues of cooperation that will benefit not only government institutions, but also private enterprises for more mutually beneficial trade exchanges. On our part, as a mission, we continue to monitor closely the different B2B, B2G, G2G conversations arising from the visit, while remaining confident of concrete outcomes in the form of MOUs and agreements. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the main essence of today's summit lies in creating opportunities for collaboration, investment, and growth. I would like to share updates on two key areas of cooperation between Nigeria and Canada. One is the bilateral air services agreement, BASA, and the Foreign Investment Promotion and Protection Agreement, FIPA, as well as the audiovisual co-production agreement. As you all know, the BASA is critical to improving direct connectivity, air connectivity, between Nigeria and Canada, thereby facilitating trade, tourism, and fostering people-to-people exchanges. I am pleased to inform you that Nigeria and Canada has completed the negotiations regarding the bilateral air services agreement between both countries. What is now required at this moment is for Canada to conclude its internal procedures by getting the necessary approval from others in Council, at the end of which a date will be announced for a formal signature before the coming into force of this important bilateral agreement. The Foreign Investment Promotion and Protection Agreement, which aims to provide a secure and enabling environment for investments in both countries. We are delighted to inform you that both countries, that's the negotiating teams of both countries, have come back to the table to finalize on the gray areas of this agreement, which was initially, as you may recall, signed in 2014. However, Nigeria found certain aspects of this agreement that was, I would say, injurious to our national interest at that time, necessitating Nigeria to come up with the 2016 version of the FIPA. While this ensued, Canada also came up with a most recent model of their own FIPA. So what is happening at this moment is that both negotiating teams, the mission has been able to facilitate meetings such that they are back at the table to look at the areas of convergence and the areas of divergence, so as to come to a mutual agreement. Our expectation is that this whole process will be completed before the end of this year. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the creative economy, otherwise referred to as the orange economy, is a significant component of the economic diversification strategies of both countries, and one which has been identified as a very important area of mutual priority. Our ongoing discussions have already underscored the numerous advantages of such a treaty, including access to funding, tax incentives, and expanded distribution networks for co-produced films. I wish to reiterate Nigeria's readiness to continue to work with Canada to finalize this very important agreement, which will hopefully pave the way for deeper cultural ties and economic prosperity in our creative sectors. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nigeria offers vast potential across diverse sectors, from the recent trade and investment mission, the proposed bilateral air services agreement, to ongoing efforts to finalize the audiovisual co-production agreement. All this demonstrates our commitment to creating an enabling environment for business and investments to thrive. Moreover, Nigeria's oil and gas sector, agriculture, renewable energy, and creative economy sectors present fertile grounds for Canadian investors. Our focus on economic diversification is rooted in a vision of sustainable growth and increased participation in the global economy. This summit today, organized by Leadership and Governance, is a call to action for both public and private sector stakeholders. It invites us to harness the strength of our shared values and take advantage of the evolving global landscape to build a resilient economic partnership. I therefore encourage everyone here to engage actively in today's discussions, as your insights are crucial in shaping the future of Nigeria-Canada economic relations. In closing, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I wish to take this opportunity to reaffirm the Nigeria High Commission's unwavering support for initiatives such as this that seek to foster stronger ties between our two countries. We remain committed to providing the necessary institutional backing required to ensure the success of every opportunity presented at this summit. As we chart a path towards shared growth and prosperity, let us remember that the true essence of leadership lies in our ability to build bridges and inspire collective action. On this note, I will therefore encourage you to engage in fruitful discussions, make friendships, form partnerships, while I look forward to the insightful sessions ahead and to seeing fruitful partnerships that will emerge at the end of this gathering. Thank you all for your time, and may our discussions be both enriching and impactful. Thank you once again.
Nigeria is Canada's largest trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa. But the value of trade is just $2.5 billion. I think we can do better than that. That's a challenge to both Canada and Nigeria. It's gladdening to know that we will soon have direct flights between Canada and Nigeria, and that should do a lot for business. And also at this time, we are at a flux when it comes to leadership. We have just received new Canadian ambassadors in Nigeria, and we will soon be having a new Nigerian ambassador in Canada. So this is a pivotal moment for us. It is with great honor that I want to call on Garrett Blow who is the president of the Canada-Africa Chamber of Business, and who has been doing a lot to ensure that there is business between Canada and Africa. Garrett, please come up. Thank you. Round of applause for Garrett. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you
Thank
again.
you. The floor is yours.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, delegates, esteemed guests, thank you very much, Your Excellency, for sketching the background, because of course each one of us as business people and advocates for the important role of entrepreneurship and enterprise understand that everything that's done happens within a particular policy context. But in terms of the aspirations and the ambitions and so much of the leadership that's been undertaken by the embassy and by others, we know that the clarion call, a call to action, is indeed one before each one of us who've decided to be a part of this program today and who continue to advocate for the continued growth and expansion in the relationship between Canada and Nigeria in particular. I'd like to also recognize the incredible efforts of those who continuously return to these particular events to not only update people on their existing projects, but to demonstrate in action that what we're discussing is not theory. Projects are underway, and what we seek to do is to build upon those so that we can demonstrate in action to those who are not yet in this important trade relationship to indeed become a key part of it. Canada's future trade diversification, which is a national imperative, as we've heard from the Canadian government, cannot happen without the important role of the African continent. And we all know the single largest country by population and a key economic driver is, of course, Nigeria. So understanding that, of course, we have a program, we have many people that are speaking, I want to invite each one of you who are not yet part of the Canada-Africa Chamber of Business, supported by great people like Mine Africa, with members like Leadership and Governance, to be a part of this continuing conversation, and that this event is never, ever just a once-off, or a second off, or a third off, but it's an event that happens in the broader context of day-to-day engagements, building relationships. I'll be heading to Zimbabwe tomorrow. I haven't been to Lagos for a while, so I've told Kola and Sam, let's make something happen there. So thank you once again for all of you, for those of you who take risks, for those of you who persist, and those of you who've demonstrated that everything we're going to cover today is not a theory, but an actuality. And Canada and Nigeria together are a formidable force, and it's a force that is underpinned by those of you in the private sector who are committed to seeing this relationship through. Thank you very much, and all the best for a successful conference. Thank you, Wayne Floriani, for what you do too.
Garrett, thank you so much for those remarks. And it gives me great pleasure to call on Ambassador Akinremi Bolaji, Director, Economic Trade and Investment, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear friends, brothers and sisters on both sides, Nigeria and Canada. I thought the program would change a little with the coming in of our chair of the Senate Committee on Diaspora, the distinguished Senator Ume. I respect you so much, sir, and I'm glad that you are here. And your coming in will bring a lot of energy because I know what you represent. But I know that once we cross the ocean and we are out here, we become your property. We become diaspora, and we fall in the hand of your very good self and Honorable Abike Dabiri, who has been described as a mother. But I wanted to correct that. Not that she's not a mother, but I think we should call her a model. Yes, because we don't want to bring gender matter into the issue. She can as well be a father, isn't it? All right. So thank you so much. As Director of Economy, Trade and Investment from the Foreign Ministry, I've been given the role of providing you overview of the investment opportunity in Nigeria and Canada. And I could see that the Child Affairs, Ambassador Obioma Zewuje, has done a great job with his opening remarks, so loaded and very insightful. Thank you so much for that. also going to join my voice to thank the organizers of this event, the duo of Gala and Sam. These two great Nigerians and great Canadians. You can be 100% Nigerian, 100% Canadian. I've done a great job to get all of us here. This is the third edition, and I do wish you that things will get better. Do you agree with me? All right. So if I must start, I'm not going to tell you that Nigeria is the largest economy in Africa. There is no doubt that Nigeria has the largest population in the black race and in Africa. But I'm going to tell you that despite the challenges and difficulties, both Nigeria and Canada have been able to weather the storm. And even though we aspire to do more, now we are not doing badly. It is because of the commitment on both sides. And so the first thing we'd like to see is that we have very cordial relations between these two countries that has become enviable to other parts of the world, and other African countries are envious of Nigeria's relation with Canada. I thought someone should be excited about that. I'm conscious that the last speaker before I came in is the chair of Canadian Africa Chamber of Commerce. And I do not know where he's from, whether Africa or anywhere, but I know he's not a Nigerian. But one thing is, it cannot controvert what I've said, that relations between Nigeria and Canada is enviable, and that as we aspire to take it to a higher level, we still have a lot to do. So in our trade, we've done 2.5 annually, which is what Canada do with U.S. on a daily basis across border. On a daily basis, 2.5 billion transaction takes place between Canada and USA. We know we can't do that in near future, but we are aspiring that as Nigeria becomes the largest economy better in Africa, by 2030, when our economy will have become a 1 trillion economy, we will be able to improve in our trade relation annually to something close to 10 billion with Canada. Why would that be possible? It will be possible because both countries have now agreed to improve in their agricultural collaboration. The government of His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu has decided to create a conducive environment for business and investment. In his word, he says, easy coming, easy go out. In other words, you bring your investment and there will be no struggle whenever you want to go. This is very encouraging. This is certainly very encouraging. We have over 84 million arable land in Nigeria. So Canadian investors in agricultural business find a good place to do their business. Off-takers will also find a good place to have their deals. Let me quickly speak to some of the areas that will interest some people in this hall, and the effort that have been made, which the Charge d'Affaires has made reference to, and that is in our bilateral air service agreement. I want to say that in a couple of weeks to come, there will be opportunity for direct flight between Nigeria and Canada. I superintended over the negotiation on both sides, and I can tell you unequivocally that the tests have been agreed, endorsed, and all that remains is just to sign. And both sides have agreed to the signing. I may not be able to disclose the exact date, but in a couple of weeks, the first flight will take off. On are petroleum and gas, which is of great interest to both sides. Nigeria essentially is a gas country, and we have the largest deposit in Africa. We want to assure that Canadian businesses in this sector will find a better environment from this moment. You already heard about Dangote Refinery, and you've heard about the Petroleum Act. But apart from that, the reforms that are taking place on the Nigerian side meet the desire on the Canadian side. And that is to assure as many in this hall today that would like to invest in that area, the Nigeria oil and gas sector awaits your investment. We are aware of the expertise in Canada, and Nigeria is also having a burgeoning youth population that are tech savvy, and we see a lot of collaboration in that area. But I want to mention two areas, then I'll take my seat, which is very good for our review and overview here. And that is in the area of marine and blue economy. We are aware that Canada plays a lot in the marine and blue economy. And Nigeria has created a whole ministry to oversee the blue economy. And that tells you that there's a lot of opportunity in our port and in our transportation through the waterways. Today, through collaboration with some Chinese firm and Singaporean firm, Nigeria has a deep seaport in Lekki, and this is open for business. And so we look forward to collaboration in the area of marine and blue economy. And this is very wide, very, very wide. In shipping, we know Canada is very good in this area, but we know that Canada has a fund in the marine sector, in the blue economy sector, which can help. And this sector has opened up to girls and women, and we are doing a lot in that area. I must wrap up this section with our creative economy. Nigeria, and I'm sure Honorable Abike Dabiri will say a lot here, because she's been doing quite well with them. In our creative economy, it is possible that you just hear wherever you are traveling, "Baby, calm down, calm down." Have you heard that before? Or you suddenly hear, "It's lonely, hard it up," right? Thank you so much. Morning in my heart. That is it. And that's Nigeria for you. And this is a big opportunity for Canada. It's a big opportunity for Canada. Today, Nigerian artists are all over the world, and Mr. President has created a whole ministry for tourism and creative economy. Therefore, we invite you specially to invest in our marine and blue economy as well as the creative industry. You will have no regret about this, and I'll be here to take questions. The beauty of this is that I came from headquarters, and I will supervise over whatever that you are doing as Director of Economy, Trade and Investment, and I assure you that you will have no difficulty. Thank you for investing in Nigeria.
Your Excellency, thank you for that informative overview. I want to pick up when you talk about agriculture. Prior to the Russia-Ukraine war, Ukraine was the largest supplier of wheat to Nigeria. And since the war began, Canada has stepped up. Canada is the single largest supplier of wheat to Nigeria at the moment. Thank you, Canada. It's my pleasure to call on Wayne. Wayne, where are you? All right. Wayne is Nigerian. Okay. I can't say more than that. Wayne has really been part of what we're doing. His heartbeat is Nigeria. He's President Mine Africa, and he's been with us all along the journey. Wayne, thank you so much. Please come up. Thank you.
Thank you. Canada by the numbers, quickly for Nigerians, about 40 million people in Canada with a GDP, as you can see, of $2.4 trillion last year, which ranks Canada number 10 in the world in terms of GDP. Dividing that by the population, GDP per person is approximately $54,000. Unemployment rate is about 6.5%. Canada has one of the world's soundest banking systems, as you can see here. This data comes from the Economic Intelligence Unit of the Economist magazine. Number one in the G20 for doing business in the last 5 years. Number one, lowest debt to GDP among the G7 countries, and the second soundest and most secure banking system. I won't dwell on this. We've heard a little bit from our speakers prior to me about our bilateral relations, both sharing diplomatic representation. I think the important, last two are important. There are 50,000 Nigerian students in Canada, making Nigeria the fourth largest source of foreign students studying in Canada. And a great youth, we talk a lot about the opportunities and the strengths in Africa, and a big part of that is the youth. Nigeria is one of the youngest populations in the world. Many of the key sectors in Nigeria that offer opportunities for Canadian companies and vice versa fit very nicely with Canada's areas of strength and expertise. Agriculture, fintech, climate, clean tech, creative industries. The Chargé d'Affaires mentioned the audiovisual co-production agreement between our two countries that gets into the film side, infrastructure, real estate, education and training. We have a number of representatives with us today, including Claudia Mueller from Schulich School, Executive Education Center. Natural resources, of course, mining, oil and gas, and ICT. My apologies here. I'm getting a little bit of... This is going to be covered tomorrow from the Canadian government, Global Affairs Canada. So we'll have a copy rate coming up. I won't dwell on it a lot, but we did talk, it was mentioned about the bilateral trade. So Nigeria is by far the largest trading partner for Canada in Africa. You can see the numbers there, a total of $3.6 billion two-way trade. And most of that, it might be surprising, but most of that was coming from Nigeria to Canada. So approximately $3 billion were exports from Nigeria to Canada. And there's what some of the main commodities were that were traded. This summarizes a historical list of exports from Canada to Nigeria and drills down a little bit. All our presentations from the next 2 days will be available on our website, so you don't have to take notes on this. We'll make this available for you. You can look at it at your leisure after we're done. You can see the historical trend of Nigerian exports to Canada in the blue. This is interesting here. If you look down to the Nigeria slide, you will see the Nigerian exports to Canada of $3 billion. But if you go up 2 rows, you will see Africa as a whole. So Africa as a continent exported $9 billion to Canada in 2023. 6 billion of that, or sorry, 3 billion of the 9 billion came from Nigeria. So Nigeria is almost a third of all of African exports to Canada, showing the significance of it. This, for our Nigerian delegates, is an interesting slide. All of this information is available online by the Canadian government. This is a list of all of the importers in Canada and the countries from which they're sourcing product. So you can see here, it's a little bit hard to see, but there's about 250 or so Canadian companies that are importing product or services from Nigeria, and you can find them all on that website and sort. It's quite an asset. You can't talk about Canada without talking about the Toronto Stock Exchange. There are two exchanges in Canada. The Toronto Stock Exchange is the main exchange. It's got a junior exchange called the TSX Venture Exchange, which is a junior exchange for smaller companies. These are the key sectors in which the listed companies are. You can see mining is obviously important at 12%, energy, financial services, and so on. Out of the 3,500 or so companies listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange and the TSX Venture Exchange, 240 or so are non-Canadian. This is one of my favorite slides. You can't talk about the TSX, you can't talk about Canada without talking about mining. So on the two exchanges, there's 3,500 companies listed. 1,120 are mining companies on the Toronto Stock Exchange. So that is 1 in 3 companies listed on Toronto, publicly traded companies in Canada, are mining companies. That's 40% of the world's publicly traded mining companies. And in the last 5 years, that was almost half of the global financings that were done for raising money were done in Canada. If we compare the Toronto Stock Exchange with all of the other exchanges in the world for mining listings, and you can see them here, LSE, AIM, Australia, New York, Hong Kong, Toronto has almost more mining companies, almost the same number of mining companies listed as all of those exchanges combined. So Canada is a mining equity financing powerhouse. And when I talk about mining, I think one of the big takeaways about that, I don't want to be too specific on it. I'm the president of Mine Africa, I talk about mining forever. But around the mining industry, it's not just mining. There's education and training. There's environmental solutions, water, wastewater management. There's training, there's human resources, there's corporate social responsibility consulting, there's equipment supply and services, there's financial and legal services, equipment supplies. All of that milieu around mining also applies and translates to opportunities for companies that may or may not be specifically in the mining space. These are the key commodities of the mining companies. You can see gold is big, but the trend over the last few years with battery metals and electric vehicles is lithium, copper, cobalt, and so on. Here's the African delegation we had at the Toronto Stock Exchange. I'm going to drill down a little bit and show you where they are in Africa now, the mining companies. So out of those 1,120 mining companies, they have approximately 5,000 projects around the world. Half of those projects are outside of Canada. There's 102 Toronto Stock TSX-listed mining companies active in Africa. So about 10% of the mining companies in Toronto are active in Africa. And specifically where they are. West Africa is fairly dominant in terms of gold. Nigeria, there's a tremendous opportunity, I think, for Canadian companies, and part of what we're about here over the next couple of days, and a lot of what we do during the big mining conference here in Toronto in March, is try to raise awareness of Africa and Nigeria specifically as an investment opportunity for Canadian companies. Part of the challenge is many companies, not just mining, but most companies in Canada are focused on the US, who consume 90% of Canada's trade right now, or Europe, or South America. So the challenge that we face is how do we make Canadian companies more and more aware of the tremendous opportunities that exist in Africa and in Nigeria, and that's part of what we're all about here today. This is the big mining show I mentioned in Toronto. We have a number of programs. I won't go into details on that. We've got some brochures on this. We've had the pleasure of hosting Nigeria, working with them in the past, the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development, with their booth. We do a big African mining breakfast with a spotlight on Nigeria as well to help promote it. Canada's Minister of International Trade, and Mark Bristow there, the CEO of Barrick Gold. This was our specific spotlight on Nigeria that we did just this past March. In the education and training side, we also offer an interesting program going up to Sudbury. We do this every year to visit one of the world's great mining centers. So anybody from Nigeria that's interested in learning a little bit about Canada's expertise in mining, it's a great, great opportunity. A few pictures from last year's event. As I mentioned, it's more than just mining. I dwelled on it a bit, but there are tremendous opportunities around mining. Mining is a massive economic development generator, both in terms of wealth and job creation. Tremendous opportunity in Nigeria for that, and these associated sectors that would benefit from following the lead of mining, if you will, mining being the spearhead penetrating into Nigeria. So that wraps up my little sort of hodgepodge on that. We're at about 10:40 right now, so I can suggest that we take a little quick coffee break. Perhaps we can go, we had scheduled 30 minutes, but perhaps we could do 20 minutes to get us a little bit back on track, if that would work for people. So it's currently 10:40. Let's say 11:05, reconvene back in the room.
One of our key sponsors, First Bank of Nigeria. First Bank, thank you for your support. We know the MD could not make it today, but we have Mrs. Folake Animomoni. Thank you so much, First Bank. We appreciate you. I will call on His Excellency, the youthful governor, the revolutionary governor, the farmer governor. He came in and he just turned Niger State upside down. And you can see, he broke every foundation and began to rebuild. And so obviously we need more years to be able to finish what he has begun. So we dare say you should get those years. Your Excellency, the floor is yours. Thank you, sir.
Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I thought I was going to be given some moment to take some coffee. But to catch my breath. But now I've been asked to come on the stage. You know, while growing up, we didn't know the difference between right and opportunity. Everything was a right. Privileges were taken for granted. Some of us here, and most of us, who are Nigerians, either in diaspora or back home, took from Nigeria. We went to general hospitals, public health services for free. We went to local government education authorities for free. We went to federal government colleges and government colleges for free. We went to universities for free. And at a point in time, there was an arrested development. What happened? So it is time for diaspora to own Nigeria. I want to specially recognize my sister, my colleague, Honorable Abike Dabiri. She's been outstanding in making sure this community of diasporans are heard globally. When I sat here in the last 2 minutes, the MC here spoke about 55,000 Nigerian students, 150,000 Nigerian people, 200,000 Nigerian people in Canada. These are numbers. What are your rights? What are your benefits? I have a long speech here, but I don't want to talk to this document. I want to talk to my faith, to my mind, to my conscience. The reason why I traveled thousands of miles to come here in Canada, Toronto, and to be here in this conference hall to talk to you people is because I want us to have a conversation. What is Nigeria? You know, when I became a governor of Niger State, a Chinese man came to me and said to me, Governor Mohammed, what is the problem with Nigeria? So, innocently, I said corruption. He said, no. He said, there's corruption in Canada. There's corruption in the United States of America. There's corruption in Russia and China. Corruption is everywhere. So I said, what is the problem? What do you think is the problem? He said, patriotism. That we don't love Nigeria. We are so divided, mediocrity, ethnicity, on little things that are trivial. So I want to speak to your conscience. How patriotic are we as Nigerians? Last week I was in the United Nations General Assembly, and we tried to distinguish between foreign direct investment and diaspora investment. And we realized that there is need for the United Nations to define under the SDGs diaspora investment globally. And in Africa, in trillions of dollars. But we don't feel it, no impact. So, in one of my classes in Harvard University, Massachusetts, United States of America, we tried to define the human brains in 4 quadrants. And we realized that the brains of an average, and I'm sorry, because I'm also a black man, within the first quadrant is dormant, not even hibernating, is dormant. It is characterized by little things that are trivial, the color of your skin, you're talking to me like this because I'm a black man, about gender, about things that are not very important to your development, about religion, about faith, about how I look in the mirror. People who want to go to the moon are now wanting to go to the Mars. And you're still talking about witchcraft? No. Yesterday, I was in Princess Margaret Cancer Center, and I have seen what oncology means. One oncology university is not in Africa. We need you to have a reset button. Let's look back. Let's give back to Africa, to Nigeria, what we got from it. Let the children of nobody become somebody. Why is public health or public education a problem? Why is it a problem to feed yourselves? Niger State, under my stewardship and my team, we have more mechanization in agriculture, more than Nigeria as a country. Give me applause. In the last 1 year and a half, we've invested in partnership, we've gotten development partners, we've gotten investment in the United States of America, in China, in Britain. We have come here now to get investment. I don't want you in diaspora here to forget that there is a place called Niger State. We are providing ourselves as a pilot state to change Nigeria, to change Africa in agriculture. We have 76,000 square kilometers of arable land. We have bodies of water, 4 hydropower dams, 92 other dams. We have no reason to be poor. We have deposits of gold, alluvial gold on the street. After heavy rain, you pick gold. Lithium. The world is transitioning into electric vehicles, clean energy. We are having so much deposit of this issue. What is the problem? Let us attract investment globally to develop these potentials. In my open market alone, I sell an average of 1 million cattle every week. If I take 10,000 naira per cattle times 1 million is 1 billion naira times 4 billion. So to develop feedlots, abattoirs, and look for market globally where beef is needed. Any investment you bring in here, you can recoup. The cash flow is very clear. You don't need nobody to tell you. You don't need a prophet. The Lagos State government, Ogun State government, Kwara State government, Oyo State government, and myself, we've been discussing on how we can stop the movement of cattle, live cattle, into the southwestern Nigeria. To have a butchery, an abattoir, where frozen meat can be taken in a more civilized, cultured, and you're sure of what you're eating, to the southwestern Nigeria. That is a big market. And you know, in the livestock value chain, it's not just meat that is there. You have the tribes, you have the blood, you have the bones, you have the hooves, you have the skins. This is a big industry. So the opportunities are there. So, and let me ask you a question. And I want you to understand if there is patriotism. What is FAC? F-A-A-C. That is the reason why Nigeria has not developed. FAC. Every month, as a governor, I walk to Abuja, I pick a check, I come, I share it. What is my input to the sharing? It is the responsibility of every government to generate revenue and feed the center, not the center to feed the nation. So with this, I've told you in agriculture, do I need FAC? I don't need FAC. In the last 1 year, what I've generated is beyond what the FAC has given me. I've embarked on a very, very ambitious project for infrastructure development, over 1,000 kilometers of roads. And it's not stopping. I have more food in my state than the strategic grain reserve in Nigeria. We are farming, but we have not been able to get investment to harvest, or in harvesting, excess water flow from hydropower dams to harvest water. Because you don't understand. So a day before yesterday, we went to a farm here in Canada. What's the name of the farm? Astrom Farm. And they only do milk. So they have a cornfield, they have a soya field. They don't do beef, they do milk. But in a small hectare of land, I saw what it means to have improved seedlings. On a stalk of a corn, you had like 10 corns growing on just one stalk. Capacity. So people are overclouded in myopia, thinking it is not going to work. We are going to make it work. I need you in diaspora to make Niger State a sample state for Nigeria and Africa at large. In agriculture, I have hydrocarbon. I have huge deposit of gas. I don't want to be distracted. I want to feed Nigeria, I want to feed the world. You're shouting about unemployment. In the Bola Ahmed Tinubu Airport City Free Zone, we're so ambitious to build the biggest greenhouses in Africa. And we're starting with a pilot scheme of 10,000 greenhouses. Hydroponics. It means I can crop all year round. 200,000 metric tons of silos storage. 150,000 metric tons of storage, cold storage, on a beautiful airport scheme. It means I can ship cold meat, beef, to Canada, if you so need. It means in my strategic grain reserve, I can supply you soybeans. The Chinese government has put down $650 million to support the agro zone, special agro processing zones, because they need it. So we're here not for the fun. We're here to talk to you, to talk to our conscience. What is the problem with all this capacity, with all the human capital? 200,000 very important, influential black people from Nigeria influencing the Canadian economy. What is your link? The umbilical cord is not cut. Don't cut it off. Look home. So I'm here by the grace of God and my lovely sister to speak to our conscience on the reason why Nigeria must work again. It's not going to work under the current arrangement. It must work under an arrangement that is acceptable to everybody. Don't give me corn. Show me how to plant it, and I'll feed myself. Ladies and gentlemen, I love to talk. My stewardship into politics was in the banking sector. I grew through the ranks to the management level. I grew tall, clean. And I ventured because of the CSR, corporate social responsibility. My people decided to say, Bago, it's you we want to represent us in the House of Representatives. I turned it down. Vox Populi, Vox Dei. So the voice of the people is the voice of God. They made sure I was in the House of Representatives. CPC, unpopular party, unknown party, Buhari's party. So we built CPC and brought Buhari to CPC. Yeah. So I was in the House of Representatives for 12 years consecutively. In this constituency I represented, nobody had ever gotten a second mandate. I got it 3 times. Clap for me. You know, you need to celebrate who's yours. And you need to flaunt what you got. So if you have it, flaunt it. And from nowhere, people said, no, you've done so well. We want you to be the governor of Niger State. Somebody will say, hell no. Yes. Hell yes. The people stood against all odds. I didn't have the party. I didn't have the government. I didn't have the resources. But people decided and made it happen. Clap for the people, please. So people tell me, where do you drive this aspiration from? Where do you get your energy from? Why are you so desirous of bringing this change? I said, because the people have given me trust. Trust. I cannot betray the trust. When I came here to Toronto, this is my first time here in Canada. I saw Rogers Foundation, Rogers Hospital, Rogers this. And I said, who is this Rogers? And they said, a long time ago, somebody came and carved his name in gold. I want to carve my name in gold. So I'm not here for hanky-panky. I'm here for business. If you want to dine with me, make sure you have a long spoon. Because mine is so short that I'll finish the meal before you wake up. So my brothers and sisters in diaspora, don't lose faith in Nigeria. Don't lose faith in Africa. You are here because Africa gave you foundation. Some of us here didn't have a know-how, but government of then provided the know-how. We went to public school. And I want to see in this hall, whoever is from Nigeria did not go to LEA. Raise your hand up. Local Education Authority, LEA. You didn't go to LEA? And you school in Nigeria? What year? Local Education Authority. Because the local government in public school. Abike, which school did you go to, primary school? It's not the convent private school. Did you pay school fees? How much? Let me tell you, Abike, local government education authorities subsidize your education. Did you go to any private clinic in the 70s or 80s in Nigeria? There was none. So the missionaries, the Britons, gave you a foundation that was supposed to stand tall to time. You came and dashed it away. Backward integration. We need to go back to the basics. Let the child of nobody become somebody. How do you do that? Fair play. Give people opportunities. A day before yesterday, at the All Saints University of Medicine, they decided to put a token of $1 million for scholarship for Niger State students to come and read medicine. Can you please clap your hands for them? So what we did, because we don't want handout, we matched the fund with another $1 million. So we bring our students and we determine, because you're not giving us scholarship, you can't tell us what to do, we'll dictate the tone, because we play the piper. So we match the funds. And to every other institution here, because we want to ship out 1 million Nigerians globally to read sciences, medicine, nursing, astronomy, ecology, because we understand the effects of global warming. Before I came here, we had a lot of disasters, natural disasters that can be prevented. Flood, global warming. So in the United Nations, and ask them, are we talking about mitigation or conservation? We don't have issues in Africa on mitigation or conservation. But we should be the focus. When I live here, I'm going to Brazil. I want to see what they're doing that we're not doing. So I'm providing Niger State as a pilot state in Nigeria under my stewardship with all the laws for investment. I want to build the first 50-story building in Africa. And I want to go up. We can't remain like that. So in one of my classes in Cambridge University in London, the professor was talking to us about lifting the lead. So if you have a house that's low as this, I bet you no child of yours is going to grow beyond this. So when you lift the lead and you have the horizon, I can tell you can touch the ceiling. So we have to lift the lead. The challenges of power, energy, is because we have remained building bungalows. Highest we go, one level up. How do you want to talk about power? How do you talk about water? Go up. Build skyscrapers. And you start to think of how you pump water up there. How you're going to do drainages. How you're going to do sanitation. Look, it's not rocket science. You just come here to Canada and say, how did you make it? How were you able to build Toronto downtown? You see our airports, the amounts of monies we spend to build airport cannot build the real airport. If we really want to build the airport, we'll build the airport. Nepotism, ethnicity, regionalism is not the way out. But I want to give you an example in diaspora. And I'm calling on all of you. I'm the guinea pig. Use Niger State for your experiments. Thank you and good afternoon.
Okay. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please join me in giving a round of applause for that passionate speech? You know, when we see leaders that depart from prepared speeches and speak from the heart, Governor Bago, thank you, sir. Many things he highlighted, let me talk a little bit about them. For most of us, where was the name Nigeria came from? What is the origin of the name Nigeria? The river Niger. And that's Niger State. I dare say the way Nigeria goes is the way Nigeria goes. So Niger is a minute. The way California is to America, the way Ontario is to Canada, is the way Niger is to Nigeria. The governor has challenged us. The governor has challenged Canada. Look at what China is trying to do in Nigeria. He is going to Brazil. Canada needs to stand up. This is a challenge to Canada. Canada, I hope you're hearing. Of course, by the time you pick up, maybe the launch will be gone. Now, let's look at some of the things Governor mentioned. I begin from the bungalow. You know me, they need to build tall. If not, my head will be eating the roof in most places. Part of the issue in our economy at the moment is the fluctuation between the Nigerian naira and the US dollar. And I dare say we need to think about pegging the naira to the dollar for a period, the same way China did when they were building their economy. That would help us a lot. The governor mentioned agriculture. For those of us who live in Ontario or in Canada or there, but we know how much it costs us to buy poundo yam. We can't even get beef properly. You won't get goat meat. One tube of yam is $40. So there's opportunity for you, sir, to bring, with the direct flight coming, you have an airport, you can do cargo straight here. The market is there, you know. So I think that's something. You know, yesterday I got a call from the Canadian Embassy in Lagos telling me to make sure I took you on a tour to get equipment. However, I'm going to Nigeria today. I'm on my way to the airport from here, so we can look into that. But, you know, it spoke about oncology. Oncology speaks to cancer. Maybe Niger State can host the first full-fledged oncology center in Nigeria and probably Africa. I think that we can make that happen for you also, sir, Your Excellency.
Clap for Niger State.
He spoke about the current political arrangement in Nigeria. We don't have true federalism. We're here in Canada. Trudeau cannot tell Ford what to do, and Ford cannot tell Diodati what to do. and Alberta will not bring its resources to distribute. And so we have to start looking at that. We have our leadership, Senator Ume. Well done, sir. This is something the National Assembly should start looking at. I know you are working on it. Maybe you can do it under this current dispensation. We need true federalism in Nigeria. So, Governor Bako, thank you, sir, once again. Thank you. All right, we will call on Paul Stevens for his presentation, and we will...
No, I'm sorry. We're going to move to our financing panel.
Okay, so
We've got a financing panel coming up now.
You want the panel? Okay, so we'll do the panel. It's not here. Okay. We're going to call on the panel to look at financing projects in Nigeria. I speak from experience. My company, Agimatics, 90% of our revenue is from Nigeria. And there are challenges when it comes to financing. The Canadian Crown Corporation will make you go through hoops and loops before you can get funding. The Business Development Bank of Canada, the BDC, will also make you. And so it's good to hear what the panel has to say. And of course, the issue with currency fluctuation is something that we need to pay attention to. So I will call on, short notice, distinguished Senator Victor Ome. Please, you're on our panel. Make your way up, sir. Garrett. African at heart. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you. From First Bank, I'm not sure if Ladipo Senano is here. Okay. And Andrew Apampa. Convergence Blended Finance. Is that in Canada or Nigeria?
It's in Toronto.
In Toronto? Okay, welcome. Thank you. Oh, okay. And so for First Bank, we have Mrs. Folake Animomone. Please come up. Oh, no? Okay, she's yielding. Okay. So I believe with this distinguished panel, you want to come up? We have someone from the Nigerian High Commission in Trade. Thank you. You know, she's wearing two hats right now. She's a female, number one, but she works for one of the largest banks in Nigeria. And you can't talk about financing without having the banks involved. They've got some interesting rates now if you want to do loans from the banks in Nigeria. No, you know, so it's good to have them. All right. So let's proceed. I know that Senator was on a short notice, but you will take the lead, and we'll proceed. So, Wayne, how do you want us to proceed? Okay, Garrett.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, with that, I think First Bank, I'm going to allow for introduction and just to help set the context for what you think is key so that we're not speaking in a void. And of course, I invite each of our panelists to do the same thing, and then we shall engage. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So, if I can stand on existing protocols, it's great to be here, Your Excellencies, distinguished diasporans and Canadians. I didn't prepare to come here to speak, but what I will do is I will represent the voice of finance, representing First Bank of Nigeria, one of the oldest banks in Nigeria, 130 years old. The diaspora economy to us is an economy that stands on its own and speaks for itself. We think diaspora is an economy in itself. And that's the way we view diaspora and the opportunities that diaspora gives us. We believe, exactly as the governor has said, that we've all taken out of Nigeria, but there's a lot that we can give back to Nigeria. We know what Nigeria needs. It starts with our patriotism. For us as a bank, we believe that it's not just about profits. We build and contribute to the building of Nigeria and the Nigerian economy. So you find that our approach is one of partnership. We look to see what the needs are of our customers and prospective customers, and we bring tailored solutions as a result of that. We do banking very, very differently. It is beyond banking. So whether it be in terms of the key initiatives that matter to all of us globally as a humanity, whether it be climate issues, whether it be job creation, whether it be inclusion. I mean, we talk about financial inclusion, and when you look at all the SDG goals, we talk about financial inclusion. We like to expand that lexicon to also speak about diaspora inclusion. His Excellency said earlier on, what are your rights as diasporans? And we believe that when you look at diaspora inclusion from a financial point of view, there are different initiatives and there are different aspects that we need to focus on to make sure that diasporans are financially included and have the opportunity also to contribute to the growth of the Nigerian economy as a whole. So we come here, and I sit on this panel from a partnership perspective. We don't know it all. We're here to listen to you, listen to some of the challenges, take some of that back, tinker with it, and see how we can bring our might and our strength. I can't help but talk about the institution. Like I said, it's one of the oldest institutions. But just to give you a sense of who we are, if you think about any major infrastructure initiative in Nigeria, First Bank is a part of that. From the old Niger Bridge, which some of you may know, and luckily we're talking about the governor here, which we financed very, very many years ago, to some of the new things we're seeing around solar, lighting, and renewable energy. First Bank has always been involved in all of that. Again, largest distribution of cards, over 13 million customers with cards. About 90% of our transactions are actually digital transactions. So we've bridged that divide. We're not a bricks and mortar bank, even though we're seen as one of the oldest banks, but we're a very digital bank, which means that from a technology perspective, we see ourselves almost as a technology business, because you can't be in banking today without being a technology business. And we bring the financial muscle, the technology muscle to the solutions that we provide. So.
Thank you so much.
Good day, everybody, Your Excellencies and my co-panelists. My name is Senator Victor Ume. I'm a member of the Nigerian 10th Senate, a second-time senator, having been there in the 8th Senate. I'm happy to be here in this summit because of my conviction that our diaspora community is a very important community for the development and growth of Nigeria. When we came into the 10th Senate last year, I became the chairman of the Senate Committee on Diaspora and non-governmental organizations. Abike W. Honorable is the chairman of our NIDCOM, which is the main agency that the committee oversights. I spoke with her that we need to move and go and look for the Nigerians in diaspora, because this is a place we have developed minds, people who have acquired knowledge and various competencies to be able to help us drive development in Nigeria. I am very pleased to listen to His Excellency Governor Bago.